Hello everyone, my name is Keith, Amateur Radio Call WD4PTJ, and today we're going to talk about contesting. And really I'm kind of making this video more geared toward newcomers to ham radio who have never heard of contesting. You know, they've got their license and they hear other hams talking about contest and contesting, and they want to know, what is this? What are you talking about? What is a contest on ham radio anyway? And also more hams who have been around a while never have gotten into contesting. They've heard of it, but they've never really gotten into it. There may be some information here for them too, and probably at the end, I'm also going to talk about, after I go through what contesting really is, just the basics of it, I'm also going to talk about the benefits of contesting. I think that's something that kind of applies to whether you're a new ham radio operator or you've been around a while. Some people don't see any benefit to it. They don't know why hams do it, why other hams do it. So we'll talk about the benefits of we'll turn that down. The benefits of contesting. So what really is a contest on ham radio? Well, to put it very short and the basic, it's ham radio operators trying to make as many contacts as they can over a certain period of time. Most ham radio contests occur on the weekend, and they may vary over the length of time. Some of them go for 48 hours, some of them for 24 hours. Some of your smaller contests may go for 8 hours, 6 hours, something like that. So basically, what you're doing in a contest is you're giving an exchange to the other ham radio operator that you contact. There's a particular exchange for each contest. It's usually a signal report, and the rest of it may be something like a serial number beginning with your first contact is 001 and 002. It may be something to do with your QTH, the state that you're in. It may be the amount of power you're running. As I'm doing this, the ARRL International DX Contest for phone will be this coming weekend. The exchange for it for hams in the United States will be a signal report and their section, which is usually their state. And for the DX hams, it'll be the signal report and amount of power they're running. So if you hear that contest, you may hear the DX come back with 59500. And 59 is the signal report, 500 is the amount of power he's running. You may hear 59K or 59KW, and that's simply a kilowatt. Instead of saying 1,000 watts, they may say 59K, 59 kilo, 59 kilo W, it's kilowatt. So that's part of what the exchange could be. Some contests, like the ARRL sweepstakes, have a much longer exchange. It's kind of unusual. It's got several different things in it. I can't remember every bit of it right off the top of my head, but I think it includes your name, the year that you were first licensed, and there's several things to it. It's more like an ARRL radiogram is kind of what it fits like. So there you have the exchange. Okay. We've gone over the length of time. Contests vary according to what the contest is for a length of time. You've got several different kind of contests. It may be a DX contest like the one this coming weekend. Some of your smaller contests are state QSO parties. I enjoy the state QSO party here in Tennessee because when you're doing the state QSO party, what happens is you can as an operator here in Tennessee, I can contact stations outside the state, and I can contact other stations in the state. And in that contest, the exchange is the signal report in my county. My county being Gibson, you give it short. I'll say 59 Gibson, and then I'll say Golf India Bravo Sierra. You give the first 4 letters of the county. But the fun part about the state QSO party when it's your state is that you're the hunted. Everybody is wanting to work you. You know, in the Tennessee QSO party, if you're in Indiana, you can only contact stations in the state of Tennessee. So when it's your state QSO party, everybody's hunting you, even the other other contesters in your state. You know, they're all trying to work you. So that's really a lot of fun. You suddenly become the hunted. You know, you feel a little bit like a little bit like a rare DX anyway. You can get a pileup going because they're all trying to work you. So most of your contest will have categories. The category that you're in that contest, who you're basically competing against. You know, it may be, most all of them will have low power, which is 100 watts or less, high power, which is more than 100 watts, and most all of them have a QRP category. So you're competing against people in those categories. And some of them will also have like single op, where you're operating by yourself, multi-op, maybe you got friends that come in and y'all operate as a team. So those are categories too, you know, and it might be multi-op high power, multi-op low power. You can see there's a lot of different categories in some of the contests that basically that you're, you know, competing with. The scoring. You get so many points for each contact. Usually it may be something like 2 points. Let's say it's a phone-only contest. You get 2 points for each contact. Then there's what's called multipliers. Your multipliers are how many, it could be how many, like in the state QSO party, it's how many counties I would work in the state of Tennessee, and also how many states I would work outside the state of Tennessee, and DX would count in that too. So your score would be the total number of contacts. Let's say I had 100 contacts, and I get 2 points per contact. Well, that's 200 points. And if I've got 10 multipliers, then that means I've got 2,000 points. If that makes any sense. Your total score is the number of points per contacts. You know, 2 points, 100 contacts, that's 200 points, and then you would multiply that by the total number of multipliers. And multipliers are going to vary depending on the contest. You know, in the upcoming ARRL DX contest, it's going to be how many ARRL entities that you would work. And the CQ contest, it might be how many CQ zones that you work. That might be what your multipliers are. So that's basically how you would get the score. So what bands do you operate in a contest? Well, that will vary. There's never any contesting on 12 meters, 17s, or 30 meters. That's basically just been a gentleman's agreement by everyone that organizes contests. It's not like an FCC rule or a rule in any governing body. That's simply been an agreement not to do contesting on those bands. So most contests, a lot of contests will be any of the other bands. Some contests are only for one band. There's the ARRL 10 meter contest. There's contests for 160 meters. But most of them, like the one coming up this weekend, it'll basically be 10, 15, 20, 40, 80 and 160 meters. Like I say, there's no contesting on 12, 17, or 30 meters. You'll never find a contest on those bands. And that's sort of as helpful the people that don't want to contest. That's a place where they can go and get away from the contesting if they don't want to participate. You don't really have to. One thing that you may or may not realize, you don't really have to be actively participating in a contest, turning in a score to take part. You know, you can jump in and just make a few contacts. You know, the contesters are more than glad, you know, for you to do that, give them some contacts. It does help very much if you know what the exchange is for that contest. You can look in QST magazine every month, and there's the contest corral, and it'll tell you the date for contest, what contest is going on, you know, what weekend. And even a little bit of information there, it usually tells you what the exchange is for that contest. And there are other places where you can go and find out all of the rules for a contest, because there are obviously rules for the contest. What is, you know, that includes the exchange and the amount of time the contest starts and ends. It's got a start time and it's got an end time. And when you look up the rules for that contest, it'll tell you when it starts and when it ends. So if you want to just jump in and make a few contacts, maybe you want to work some DX stations, the DX contests like the one coming up this weekend are a great way to work DX stations in places that you haven't worked before. If you really put yourself to it, you can work DXCC within a contest, or at least get close to it. And you can fill in a lot of places that you don't have countries already worked in a contest. But it is helpful if you know what the exchange is, you know, and don't depend on the contester to tell you what the exchange is. Some of them will be patient and let you know what it is, and some of them would just rather go right on by and not work you if you don't know what the exchange is. So, if you can find out what the exchange is by looking it up, and you can even tell by listening. If you listen a little bit, you can see what's going on and, what the exchange might be. So you may be saying, I can't compete against some of these big contest stations that running a lot of power and have a big tower and big beam up on top of it. Well, you don't have to. You don't have to consider yourself competing against them to enjoy a contest. First off, I said there's categories, and if you're in a low power category, then you're not going to likely be competing against some of the super stations anyway. And the other thing is, one philosophy about it is you're not just competing against these other stations, you're competing against yourself. You may set a goal for yourself in the contest. Maybe it's your first year in that contest or your first contest at all. And you may set a goal. I'm gonna make 100 contacts. So that's what you're competing with, is to make 100 contacts. Or maybe you set a goal to make more contacts, have a better score than what you did in that same contest last year. Maybe you made 300 contacts last year, and so this year you're going to try to make more than 300 contacts in that contest. So you don't have to have a real super station to compete in contests. I don't consider myself a real serious contester. I get into some of the big contests, the DX contest, just to try to have some fun and try to work some places I haven't worked. And as I said before, I really enjoy my state's QSO party, and I've taken part in other states' QSO parties too, of course. But I don't have a superstation here. I don't have an amplifier. I run 100 watts. I do have a 3-element beam that's up on a tower about 50 foot now. And in the last 3 years, I've kind of taken my state's QSO party a little serious, and I've done pretty well in it. In the last 3 years in the low power phone category, I finished first place in state 2 years and second place the other year. So you don't have to have a really super station to have fun, and your state QSO parties are a great way to get a start in contesting and get a little taste of it. So, what are the benefits to contesting? And there's a lot of haters out there who don't like contesting and complain about it. So, the benefits. You're going to learn a lot about your station and its capabilities during the contest. You're going to learn about things that you might could do to improve your station. You're going to learn about propagation and what time of day that from your area that the bands are open to different areas. You're going to learn a lot about that. You're going to improve your operating skills. Your ability to operate in a noisy and difficult environment, which could come in very handy during an emergency situation when you're trying to pass traffic in an emergency situation. The band's not always going to be quiet, whether it's from QRM, whether it's from just the noise on the band, bad band conditions. It's not always going to be perfectly quiet in an emergency situation. So being able to operate in a difficult environment is during a contest is going to improve your operating ability. So to address those that hate contests and complain about them, let me say this, besides mentioning the benefits. As I said before, there's never any contesting on 12, 17, or 30 meters. So all you got to do, if you don't like it during a contest weekend, is go operate on one of those bands. And another thing is, like this upcoming weekend in the International DX contest, here locally during the daytime on 40 meters, you're not gonna hear any of the contest. I can't work Europe in the middle of the day on 40 meters. You know, I'm not going to be operating on 40 meters during the contest until nighttime. Nighttime, yes, 40 and 80 meters will be used, but you're not going to hear as much in the top, even in the top part of the 40 meter phone band and in the 80 meter phone band. You know, you get above 3,800 or at least 3,900 on 80 meters, and you're not gonna hear any of the contests there. It's gonna be lower in the band. So there's plenty of places to operate if you don't want to operate during a contest weekend. And as I say, every weekend there's usually contests, but they're not all the big contests that will take up that much of the band. On weekends where it's just a few state QSO parties, it's not going to take up that much of the band. Yes, on a weekend like this coming weekend, with the ARL International DX phone contest, 10, 15, and 20 meters in the daytime, they're going to be full. Yes, they are. But like I say, you can go to 40 meters in the daytime, and there's places at nighttime that you can go to. And I'm not telling anybody they can't operate on a weekend at all, but maybe that's the weekend where you ought to do some other project around the house. Take your significant other out somewhere. Find something else to do. I'm not saying you have to. As I've said, there's other parts of the bands that you can operate on to stay away from the contesting. And I hope this will let some people who are not familiar, especially new hams, give them a little bit of an idea of what contesting is in amateur radio. And it can be fun. You'll be surprised. You don't have to be a serious contester. You don't have to operate at a high rate with a super station running up a big score, to have fun. And one closing thought about the people who complain about it is, sort of the idea that if we don't want to lose the bands, we need to use them. You don't want to lose them, use them. And contest weekends, especially bigger ones, are definitely a time when the bands are being used. So anything that's causing activity on the bands seems to me like, is a good thing. So I hope that's been helpful and informative, especially to newer hams that aren't familiar with contesting. I didn't go into a lot of aspects of how to better contest or anything like that. I just wanted to explain to people that are new to ham radio or just new to contesting, not that familiar with it, sort of give them an idea of what contesting is. So I hope that's been helpful. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button. As always, feel free to subscribe and hit the little bell icon so that you'll know whenever we do make another video. So till next time, 73 everybody.